Welcome to this explainer on transforming your life through the science of daily habits. I am absolutely thrilled to be walking you through this today. We're going to break down exactly how small, seemingly insignificant actions can actually compound into massive biological and mental upgrades. It's a real game changer.
But first, let me ask you something. Why is it that our best intentions, like those really bold New Year's resolutions we all make, usually end up failing by February? Well, the answer actually isn't that you lack drive or motivation, not at all. The real culprit here is that we rely on finite willpower, which honestly acts like a draining battery. What we should be doing instead is building automated systems right in our brain.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the science of habits, then the power of daily movement. After that, we've got hot, cold, and rested, detoxing your digital mind, meditation and mental resets, and finally, making good habits stick.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the science of habits, from intention to automaticity. So the core neurological engine that essentially governs our behavior is known as the habit loop. This was coined by Charles Duhigg, and it's basically a three-part system. You have a cue that triggers the brain, a routine you actually perform, and a reward that essentially tells your brain, hey, this cycle is totally worth remembering. This loop is pure magic because it transfers behavior from draining conscious effort into effortless automaticity. Fun fact, this is exactly the playbook Procter & Gamble used to make millions turning Febreze into a household staple. They tapped directly into this exact loop.
Now you might be wondering, how long does it actually take to build this loop? You've probably heard the whole "it takes 21 days" thing, right? Well, let's debunk that right now. That myth actually came from a plastic surgeon way back in the 1960s. Recent research shows us that it really takes an average of 66 days to solidify a habit through repetition and reward. You basically have to give your brain enough time to rewrite its own wiring, and that takes a little patience.
Moving right along to Section 2, the power of daily movement, biological upgrades.
Okay, let's look at the incredible 4-week timeline of walking 10,000 steps a day, which is based on some really fascinating recent clinical data. In week 1, you get this immediate sugar mop-up effect. Your body literally acts like a sponge, sweeping up blood sugar before it can turn into belly fat. Then, by week 2, your brain is actively flushing out toxic waste. By week 3, your resting metabolism shifts into high gear, burning up to 650 extra calories a day. And week 4 is huge. A landmark 2025 Lancet study showed that by week 4, you've significantly reduced your risk across 13 different types of cancer. Absolutely incredible.
But the most crucial number here is 50. A massive study looking at 78,000 adults found a 50% drop in dementia risk by week 2 of consistently hitting near that 10,000 step mark. Rhythmic movement literally acts like a pressure washer for your head. It flushes out that toxic, sticky brain waste linked to Alzheimer's, all while promoting brand new brain cell growth. We're talking about a literal biological upgrade here.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. I do not have time for a 2-hour hike every single day. But here's the thing, you don't need to. The secret is what we call incidental exercise. Think about it. A 45-minute phone call easily equals about 4,500 steps. Just pop your headphones in and pace around the room. You're literally converting dead time into step time, and you don't even need a dedicated gym session to pull it off.
Next up is Section 3, hot, cold, and rested, temperature and recovery.
Let's take a look at how these two incredible physical stressors actually work. First, the sauna. Heat raises your core temperature and acts like a suit of cardiovascular armor. It activates heat shock proteins to protect your cells and even lowers cholesterol. But then, on the flip side, you have the cold plunge. This completely jolts your system, activating brown fat metabolism and triggering a massive, like 300% release of norepinephrine, right alongside a huge surge of dopamine. It is a serious wake-up call for your body. And when you combine these two into the Nordic contrast therapy protocol, you essentially create this vascular pump. You're rapidly dilating and constricting your blood vessels. The research tells us we should aim for about 11 total minutes of cold exposure per week, and you should always end on cold. That's known as the Soberg principle to really maximize that brown fat activation. And as for the sauna, a landmark Finnish study proved that hitting the sauna 4 to 7 times a week drops your all-cause mortality rate by an astonishing 40%. That is no small number.
Of course, all that physical strain means you absolutely need recovery. Sleep and hydration are your baseline here. But instead of just aiming for 8 hours of sleep, You need to build what's called an 8-hour margin. Basically, plan to be in bed for 8.5 to 9 hours to guarantee you actually get 8 solid hours of rest. And you've got to pair that with real cellular hydration. Plain water isn't always enough, so adding some electrolytes helps your body actually hold on to that moisture.
All right, shifting gears to Section 4, detoxing your digital mind, reclaiming attention.
The stakes here are just incredibly high. A recent Georgetown study tracked folks who simply reduced their smartphone usage. And get this, after just a 2-week digital detox, participants improved their sustained attention spans so significantly that it actually mirrored reversing a whole decade of age-related cognitive decline. Just 2 weeks to get 10 years of focus back.
So how exactly do we pull this off? Don't worry, you don't have to go throw your smartphone into the ocean or anything. The study found that partial detoxes work incredibly well. You can use apps to temporarily turn your device into a dumb phone with no internet, or you can just keep the phone entirely out of your bedroom and maybe use strict app timers. Honestly, just having your screen time can drastically cut down your anxiety and literally buy you an extra 20 minutes of sleep every single night.
Let's move into Section 5, meditation and mental resets, finding calm. You know, meditation really isn't just a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. The Mayo Clinic actually recognizes some highly versatile types. You've got guided visualization, mantra repetition, simple breathing mindfulness, and even active moving meditations like yoga or Tai Chi. The critical takeaway here is that actively focusing your attention clears out the mental clutter, and doing that directly lowers your resting heart rate and your blood pressure. It's biological relief.
But hey, meditation doesn't just happen sitting cross-legged on a mat. Consider this highly practical habit the 5-minute reset. Because let's face it, clutter in your home or your office directly impacts your mental headspace. Taking just 5 minutes to tidy up and put things back where they belong prevents a messy room from turning into mental overwhelm. It's basically a rapid intervention to get your focus back on track.
Finally, we arrive at Section 6, making good habits stick, the system.
Context matters immensely. You simply cannot fight a bad environment. Surrounding yourself with a supportive community, people who actually share your goals, is one of the absolute strongest predictors of success. But you've also got to combine that with gentle tracking. Keep an eye on your progress so you can celebrate those little wins. Just make sure you're not letting it turn into a stressful obsession, right?
And when it comes to breaking those stubborn bad habits, we look at Charles Duhigg's golden rule. Keep the cue, keep the reward, but replace the routine. Here's how it works. If stress is your cue and eating junk food gives you that feeling of comfort, which is the reward, you keep the cue and the reward, but change the middle part, the routine. Maybe you substitute an 80-20 rule, adding in whole foods, or maybe you go take a walk to get that exact same stress relief reward. You're manipulating the existing loop rather than exhausting yourself trying to fight it.
So the most important piece of the puzzle is finding your keystone habit. A keystone habit is basically one individual pattern that unintentionally triggers this beautiful cascade of other positive habits in your life. For a massive company like Alcoa, prioritizing worker safety accidentally drove their profits up by billions. For you, it might be as simple as taking 5 minutes to get dressed and ready for the day, or committing to a tech-free family dinner. Just one small win ripples out and can transform your entire lifestyle. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. But before we go, I want to leave you with this provocative question. What is the one keystone habit you are going to use to disrupt your routine today? Seriously, stop relying on willpower. Pick just one small, highly leverageable action and start building your own holistic blueprint right now. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one.